Hello, everybody. This is Derek, and with me today is the only man to use hot campfire ash as a facial exfoliant and cleanser, Carl Mandrioli. How's it?
Welcome to the Backpack Wishes podcast. Thank you for joining us. With me today is my lovely co-host, Derek Somerville. He's a man who gets food poisoning at annual reunions, runs in the family.
Wow. Thanks for calling me lovely. I appreciate it. But yeah, other than that, that was horrible. We have, I'll just call him El Numero Uno. I'll just call him Mr. Deep Dive. We have a legend of YouTube coming on today.
We do. Stephen Smith, My Life Outdoors. We're going to hit a variety of topics. And Derek, of all the topics that we're going to be talking to Stephen about today, which one are you most interested in? Of
the topics? I kind of want to hear what he has to say about the PFAS, the forever chemicals, actually.
Okay.
That's of interest. So
all right.
I know that you're like a naysayer of all things like that, but I'm curious. I like to educate. So we'll see what he says. I'm curious.
What am
he has
I
a lot of knowledge.
Specifically? What am I like that they don't exist, or what am I saying?
I don't know. I think you just have that attitude of like, there's always something to worry about, so who cares? Let's just throw it on our body and keep going. I don't give a rip. And it's kind of like crotchety old crusty man. The crusty old dude. You're kind of like
that. Probably not too far off.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
This is my assessment.
All right. Last time Steven was on, I don't think you made that one. I mean, he's been on a couple times, but the one where it was just him and I think we finished our conversation. He's like, is that all you got? Like, he was kind of challenging the questions because you weren't there and you were throwing him all these off the wall questions. And I was just kind of like doing like straight talk with gear. So, so I'm just going to like straight up out the gate. I'm just going to throw a curveball at him and see how he handles it. All right.
Good. Yeah. I'll try to put a little heat on him too. That's good.
All right. Well, that's kind of who you are. You don't have to try to do that. That's just who you are.
It'll happen. It's going to happen. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
All right.
Yeah.
So Steven's episode is brought to you by Enlighten Equipment, the trusted brand by all the gear experts we've had on our show. Lighten your load at enlightenequipment.com. Our Bible verse for today is Psalm 143. They make their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips.
Ooh.
Do you know anybody like that, Derek?
I'm looking at him right now. Right there.
Softball.
Softball.
I think I've got poison lips.
Silver tongue. You know? You gotta watch out for you. Gotta watch out for you, man.
All right.
Let's bring him in. Let's bring in the
your analysis. Outstanding as usual. All right, here we go. Stephen Smith coming up right now. With us today is the number one backpacking YouTuber in the world, Stephen Smith from My Life Outdoors. How's it going today, my friend?
I'm going really good. I'm I don't know why, but I was focusing on this.
I was holding up my finger and I've already tilted him. I've already got him off his game. This is gonna be fun today.
I'm off my game. Yeah. I'm going good.
All right.
No, I'm doing really good.
Okay, good.
Right, well,
we're gonna find out.
Let's keep going down this road of awkwardness then. So, like, you're known for outside the box, creative thinking. You've got some of the best ideas I've ever seen. I just love all the content you put out. So, in your estimation, let's tap into your creativity here. What's the best way to fake your own death?
Oh my goodness, fake. I guess you would go hiking and just never come back.
Right.
Okay. I mean,
well, you'd come back somewhere just hidden or like in a.
You just don't go back to the people that know you. So you go out hiking, you tell everybody this is where I'm going, and you say I'm going to be back by this time, whatever. I guess you'd have to have a disposable vehicle because of the vehicles, because you got to leave the vehicle at the trailhead, right? So you leave the vehicle at the trailhead, like
or take Uber,
take some clothes and like lay them on the trail, something like that. Maybe rub some ketchup on them. Just disappear in the woods.
Yeah, they would. I think, you know what, you're right. I think ketchup would probably fool forensics when they come in. Check all that out. Probably.
Okay. They'd be like, well, it's obviously he died.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
That
makes sense.
I don't know if you're just licking the search dogs are just licking
the clothes.
The shirt's not ripped from an animal.
They're looking for you. You're consuming a lot of resources. People are, they're putting out, wanted posts, not wanted. They're putting out The posters,
Wanted
with, like, rewards.
posters.
Maybe wanted. Well, we
Maybe-
don't know his
why-
full story.
I mean,
I
after
think
they
so.
find out you faked your death, then you're wanted at that point.
Then you're wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't think you'd go hiking. I thought you'd go more like off a cruise ship. You jump off and you have one of those like underwater machines that you can like.
That sounds like
kind of like
that sounds like a
National
real
Treasure
way
that
to
kind of
die.
sends you far away.
Yeah, like the James Bond underwater
Yeah.
propeller thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can get behind.
What,
that.
like a submarine? What are you talking about?
It's
I've
like
got
a
You
so
seen
many
self.
National
money.
Treasure?
It's like a
Not in
self-propelled
a long time.
propeller. You like hold a propeller
Oh
in
yeah,
your
like
hand,
you hold it and it just like
Yeah.
and it takes you, and you
But
just. go.
where
Yeah.
like where are
You
you
mapped
hiding that
it.
thing?
You
You're just
mapped it
on the
out.
cruise walking around with one of those things and you jump off.
Listen. You have a contact, and he's part of the crew, and he attaches it to the
Right.
bottom of the ship. And
But that,
you-
that's somebody. Hey, the more people that know, the more people that can
I know.
that can spill the
That's a fair
beans.
point.
But this is a guy you're paying to not say anything that you don't really kind of you kind of know him.
Yeah.
So you
Are,
just
are
wanna
they?
make sure it's
So you
there.
talked about search and rescue. I mean, as a cruise ship, they're not going to stop and be like man overboard and like do like a search and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
That's why.
not,
That's no. You're gonna jump at night. That's
not
why you
the
jump
same
at night.
way.
And then how long for that thing? I mean, I'm assuming it runs on batteries. I mean, is it going to get you all the way back to shore?
Listen, Steven, if
a
the
fair
guys
question.
from Alcatraz could do it, you can do it too. Okay, like they made it. Some of the guys made it.
All I'm saying is that I think going hiking with some ketchup's a lot more feasible.
Listen, okay, forensic shows up and they look at your shirt with ketchup, and there's no animal bite marks and no bullet holes. They're gonna have some questions. That's all.
But
I'm saying.
forensics only shows up if they suspect foul play, right?
Well, if there's
Well, if
ketchup,
there's
there's foul play.
there's something's foul,
You know,
right?
something's foul. Your clothes
Yeah.
stench would be foul. That's foul enough.
Yeah.
All right.
You know?
All right, Derek. That was you answered the question. You were ready to go. I tried to catch you off guard and you were not going to be
Yeah, I
had
was
that
ready.
way. So
He's
congratulations.
He's ready. He's
I was ready.
number
I was,
one.
I was more off guard about how I'm doing than
Right.
about how I'd fake my own death. So
Okay, we won't ask you that question again. We'll,
Yeah,
we'll ask
please
you. We
don't.
won't ask you how you're doing. Derek, what you got?
Nowhere to go with up. All right, you cover a lot of ground in your video, Steve. Over the last year, what would you say has been the hottest topic you've hit on?
hottest topic has probably been the PFAS video. So I put out a video, I guess it's back
Yep.
around September or whatever. And it seems like you guys have already seen it because you're eating gear and forever chemicals and stuff like that. But so PFAS, otherwise known as forever chemicals, that video did really well, which I was very pleased about how well it did, because it also was, I mean, it took me probably like 6 months and quite a bit of money
Wow.
to make that video. And
Wow.
sometimes you do that. Sometimes you put a lot of money and time and effort into a video and it just doesn't do well. And then you just
Right.
cry yourself to sleep every
Carl,
night.
you don't know about that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
that
and
literally just
so-
happened. I literally just released a video and it didn't do very well. And I put months and months and months of money into it for sure.
Carl is no stranger to that failure.
Yeah. Well, but then there are some videos that are like passion projects, where like you do it because you want to do it,
For sure.
and then the time and the money's not a big deal. But this was a little bit of both. So it was a passion project, something I've been thinking about for a long time, something I wanted to do and had the idea for, put a lot of time and effort and money into it, and it did really well. And I was very pleased about that. And I can't remember exactly how you worded the question, but I really do feel like it's been one of the bigger topics that I've covered because
Right.
I've got people that are asking me to come speak and speak on the topic of PFAS. I'm like, I'm not an expert on this. Like I just,
Wait. At like at environmental conferences or where are you speaking?
I don't know exactly what it is. It's an organization in Spokane. And so it's some sort of like environmental group or something like that in Washington State. And they asked if I would come and speak on the topic of PFAS. And so I was like, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is that the Bigfoot group that we met in Washington, Carl?
Yes.
When we were
same group.
is that the same?
Yeah, they
Environmentalists
wanted to
and
know the
Bigfoot.
effects of PFAS on Bigfoot. It
On
was
Bigfoot.
the
They're a little, they're a little cultish. So just FYI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Wait,
You're
are
right.
you available as a guest? It sounds like you're sort of like in a like kind of a subversive sort of way advertising that you could be hired as a speaker. Is that correct?
Yeah, man, I love to talk.
I had no idea. Carl, this is the number one YouTuber. I don't know if you're aware. And
I
why
know.
wouldn't they want
The
him?
number one?
Wait,
number
number
Let
one.
me do that. Let me do the finger.
Oh, that's
again.
right. That's right. Yeah. Don't do
why
that. It'll
wouldn't
throw
they
me
want
off.
him? I don't understand that. Of course
So
they're gonna have
are
him
you-
out there.
So you want to be a guest speaker at the middle school that I teach at? Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh yeah, man, I'd eat that stuff up. I love
At a middle
speaking.
school. Do you think
Yeah,
middle schoolers would middle schoolers be afraid of your beard or no? Would they embrace it? more?
I have no. There's only one way to find out.
Because that's the cutoff age, I believe, for the Unabomber, knowledge-wise. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a parallel there, but just
Yeah,
you
no,
wanna-
it just communicates respect to most people. So
that's fair. More of a Moses,
That
more of a
comment.
Moses vibe. You kind of like
Yeah.
give out that Aaron Moses vibe. So that's good. I like that.
yeah,
Okay.
Steven missed
question-
you, Derek. He missed you. Okay. Getting back to the video though. So you put the video out. It did very well. And it was talking about, I think the video was called something like, "Is your gear poisoning you?" or something along those lines. And typically when you put out a video and it's on a, it's like environmental stuff's controversial. I'm guessing you got some pushback as well, not just support, but pushback. Is that accurate?
got some pushback. I mean, the number one thing that I saw in the comments was, well, there's two things. One, everyone was upset that I used plastic bottles to collect the samples, which the bottles were provided by the lab that was doing the testing. And so I didn't even question it. Like, I told them I need to do a PFAS test. They sent me these bottles to take the samples. And so I'm thinking, okay, like they've done everything they need. They do PFAS testing all the time. So I'm sure that they've tested their bottles to make sure that their bottles don't have PFAS in them, because that'd be really dumb if they didn't. So I just trusted that. But then, I trusted it so much I didn't even say anything about it in the video. I didn't be like, "Don't worry, these bottles are fine," because I didn't even think about that. But man, I got so many comments from people being like the worst thing about this video is you use plastic bottles to collect the samples. And I'm like, the lab provided them.
Did anybody?
Like
did
that.
any of these? I'll call them trolls, for lack of a better word. Did any of these trolls offer you some glass milk bottles? Like, hey, let's do it again. Here's some glass milk bottles. I'll ship them out to you.
I mean, they
any
certainly offered
efforts?
glass as a suggestion. They've certainly suggested that I use glass.
Genius, genius.
And I was just like, the video's done, guys. I can't go back. I mean, like, this is
it's done. It's out.
yeah.
We're talking about this topic, assuming that the audience knows what we're talking about. It was in your video, which is very popular. We've brought it up on our show before, but really only one time. And we're also assuming that Derek knows what you're talking about. Steven, do you think that Derek knows what PFAS does?
For sure.
I don't know. Do you? Do you know what PFAS does?
I know.
I can just tell you, but
what does it do? Like the chemicals that are in like a lot of the clothing, like a lot of clothing companies use PFAS in their clothing, right? There's like Walmart, Target, all these companies use PFAS. And so the idea is that we're putting these PFASs, these forever chemicals, into our body, but maybe just by wearing it, right? Or if you're using a PFAS,
answer the question.
PFAS.
Why would they use PFAS in the first place? What's the advantage?
So I mean, it is.
Well, why don't you phrase it like that? What is the benefit of using PFAS?
I don't even know who you're asking now. So
yeah, what are you talking about?
I'm asking Derek because we know that you know, Steven, because you did a whole video on it. But Derek's talking about it as if he knows what he's talking about. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
These are forever chemicals that are in clothing and gear and stuff that people like consume or wear, and it's considered dangerous. Is that correct?
All right, he doesn't know, Steven. What does PFAS do?
PFAS is a water and oil resistant chemical, and so
it's like
it's mostly used.
Wait for it. Go ahead.
In jackets.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, mostly used for waterproofing, but it's also used for fire suppression and a bunch of different stuff. And probably the largest contributor of PFAS in the environment is from fire suppressing foams, because I'm trying to think like airline fuel fires and things like that, like really hot burning fires that don't really want to be put out with water, are water resistant, I guess. PFAS works really well to put those kinds of fires out. And so fire departments all over the world have used them and just dumped gallons and gallons and gallons on top of, fires or in fire training to try to put out different fires, not realizing that it's just going to go into the ground and into the water system and all that kind of stuff, and cause all kinds of problems. Yeah, forever. Yeah, and it seems to cause all kinds of health issues. I'm trying to remember some of the different health issues off the top of my head that it causes. Cancer is there, but I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things cause cancer, and so cancer and immune disorders.
It's like nervous system stuff, right?
Yeah, right? For sure. I'd have to go back and look, because now off the top of my head, I'm questioning what I'm saying, but it causes a lot of problems. Do what?
So it probably causes COVID too, right?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, probably everything.
The common cold. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. check it out. Check it. We'll have a link to that video in our show description. Check it out if you're interested, especially if you're interested in environmental stuff. And so, yeah, yeah. So, and if you want to check out kind of like where companies are going with that, like you can check out this video. We got an episode on that from last fall as well. But moving into another, speaking of your popular videos, another one you put out was about comfort versus survival rating on sleeping bags.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, like, you got a lot of hits on that video, man. And I know that different companies do it differently, but is that a stat that you think is important for most backpackers out there?
I would think so. But what's interesting about that video is that video wasn't even about comfort versus survival ratings on sleeping bags. It was about our values in sleeping pads, which is connected, but different. And so,
okay. Did I misspeak? I apologize.
No, you're fine, because it's confusing, and I've gotten some flack about that. Everything gets accused of clickbait, but so sleeping bags are rated, and they're giving a rating of a survival rating and a comfort rating, and then they have an extreme rating too. So every sleeping bag gets 3 ratings if it's being rated by the standards of ISO or the EN governing boards. And so, but all of those use a sleeping pad that has a 5 R value underneath it whenever they receive those ratings. And so the sleeping bag companies are assuming that you are sleeping with at least a 5 R value sleeping pad at whatever temperature that you're expecting the sleeping bag to go down to. And so you ask, like, is it important to the average backpacker? I think it is, because if you buy a 20-degree bag, you're expecting that bag to go down to 20 degrees, and I'm assuming that you buy it because you're expecting that you might encounter those temperatures. And I've encountered temperatures in the high 20s in the middle of summer in the mountains. And so, that's the 3-season sleeping bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But when a company says the sleeping bag is 20 degrees, that might be the survival rating. And they might be telling you, yeah, it's 20 degrees, but at the survival rating, you're going to be miserable in the middle of the night. You're going to survive. Right. You're going to be fine. Like, you're going to live, but you're going to be miserable, and you're going to be upset because you're going to be like, I had a 20-degree bag and it only got down to 25. Why did I feel cold? And so the comfort rating may actually be like 30 or 35 or something like that. And then if you don't have the right sleeping pad underneath it, paired with it, it could even be even colder because all that cold air is coming up from underneath and all that kind of stuff. And that's what the video was really trying to address, was how crucial is that 5 R value? Do we need to have a 5 R value pad underneath every time? Because that's the way that it was tested, which interesting. Like, so now I'm going to geek out a little bit, but it's tested with a 5 R value pad, and the dummy that it's tested with is wearing a full head to toe layer of clothing. And so I don't know if all backpackers sleep with that or not.
Wait, do you sleep naked when you're out there? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't, but I usually sleep in a t-shirt and underwear. And so I don't have a full head to toe layer of clothing on. But that 5 R value pad and that like full set of long johns or whatever it is that's on the mannequin, I mean, that's giving the mannequin quite a bit of an advantage, or I guess it's giving the sleeping bag that's being tested quite a bit of an advantage if that's not the way that you typically sleep. And so that was the goal of the video, was try to figure out, like, how important is that based off the testing. But what I ended up discovering was that inflatable air pads do not test as well as closed cell foam. And it was a weird thing that caused me to figure that out, because we had custom closed cell foam pads made. And so Zimbivy was a partner with me on this video, and they came saying, we want to know the answer to this question, because we want to know, do we need to be making all 5 R value pads, or is it okay to do something, like a 4.5 or a 3 or, whatever. And so they helped fund that video to try to figure out the answers so that would influence their gear choices or their gear design. And so they helped, and we got those custom pads. They were all targeted at a 1 R value. You can stack R value. And so we were going to get up to 5. We're going to remove the R value. We got down to 1 R values. We had a group of 6 people. I feel like I'm just like describing the video now, but we had a group of 6 people, got down to one pad. And I was expecting at 2 or 1 pads for everyone to be absolutely miserable. Because it was like a 20-degree night. I think the lowest temperature we saw was 19 degrees.
Wow.
And I was just like, these people are going to be miserable. And they weren't. And a lot of them were like, we could keep going. Like, we're fine. Like, everything's great.
Just go, man.
Let's go lower.
Yeah, and exactly.
Lower.
And I'm just like, how is this happening? And so I started trying to figure it out. I did a bunch of testing, trying to figure out like how much energy does it take per layer of pad, which is what I found out is like every time you add an R value, it's about 20% more warmth. I think it was 18 to 20% more warmth every time you add 1 R value.
Yeah.
And then I started testing that, and the numbers were just doing weird things for me. And so I started testing the inflatable pads and had 4.5 R value in closed cell foam and 4.5 R value in an inflatable pad, and they would not test the same. The 4.5 inflatable pad was testing the same as just 1 or 2 closed cell foam pads, which was like a 2 R value.
Wow.
And so,
it's interesting.
I'm not bringing that. Derek, you bringing like a foam pad?
No.
Okay.
Heck no.
Derek has bony hips. He talks about them all the time.
Would you layer? Would you layer a pad? Would you bring a foam pad and then put a inflatable on top, or you don't want to carry the weight?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on if we're going like Derek miles, like 2 miles a day. I'd do that. If we're going like a real backpacking trip, probably not.
Well, Carl can't add the miles I do correctly, so I don't know. That's a good question because the foam pad is nothing. Would it create a bunch of extra warmth? Yeah. So I don't know. That's food for thought. I don't know if I just want to carry the extra gear though. I don't know.
I probably wouldn't, even though I'm the one that put out the video saying that you need.
When the rubber hits the road, like I don't feel like if we're gonna go to a place that's like unknown, like let's say we go to Alaska and it's like I don't really know what the weather's gonna maybe be like, then maybe I would do that. But otherwise, if we're in lower 48, I probably wouldn't do that. If we're going in the summertime, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at too with that question is that if you're talking to like the Justin Outdoors of the world who have spreadsheets for every piece of gear and they have, like 4 columns per category, then I see this, like they're going to be calculating exactly what you're calculating. But if you're like Derek and me, we're like 20 degrees, like that could mean one thing for one company, one thing for another company. Some people sleep hot, some people sleep cold. There's so many different factors. 20 degrees is probably not going to get out of 20. Like that's going to be good enough. We just throw it in. I just wonder if like where you found to be the majority of the backpackers, they're more like kind of like, this is good enough, or is it more like the spreadsheet guys?
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, like for me, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take a higher R value inflatable pad. And so what I learned from that experiment is that you would probably do okay with like a 2 R value closed cell foam pad, which is about the same as a 4.5 or 5 R value inflatable pad. And so that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 5 R value inflatable pad and I'll be fine because I know that I could survive on less. And then, but then I also have the comfort of the inflatable pad. And so I think that's really where the industry has fallen is that I think most people are used to inflatable pads and they're used to the R values of inflatable pads. And so they think 3-season backpacking needs an R value 4.5 or higher, something like that. But really, if you had closed cell foam, you probably only need like a 2 or higher. And so
at what R value, Carl was wondering this. I'm going to ask it though, because he's not brave enough. At what R value does it become from camping? Does it become glamping? You know what I mean? Like at what R value? Like if I'm 3.5 or higher, is that glamping now? Am I just like a diva out there with my sleeping pad?
I guess it depends on how comfortable you want to be.
I mean, is there a stat out on that? Somebody's got to do a test on that. Carl, you want to?
I'm going to say 6.5. 6.5 is correct.
6.5 is when you're glamping?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He makes a video. This
makes
challenge Steven's findings. It's going to be called what is the official glamping R value? And
that's a great video.
Yeah, I'll just
and you could be the guinea pig.
I'll just say it's 6.5, and that's probably all I'll say. I don't have any more information than that, but
you should call it glamping versus survival.
Yeah, there you go. A day in the life of Carl. Right.
Glamping versus survival rating.
That's what he does too. Right. He just makes up random facts like that. So I'm gonna keep going here though. Why we want to know why are mesh base layers a thing? Let's dive into that a little bit.
I think it was the rave scenes of the '90s. I think that's what made that a. I think that's what made it a thing, you know. And
Were you
so
part of that scene?
I was not. I mean, I probably could have been accused of being a part of that scene, but I never
You were there.
was actually
You were
a part
there.
of it.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I may have looked the part, but
100%.
but I was
100%.
but I was not actually at the
How,
rave. So.
how long was the beard back then in the rave days? Was there a beard there? Was it
It was
stubble?
like it
Was
was
it a
like
goatee?
stubble, like peach fuzz.
Stubble.
Yeah.
Fuzz?
Because that
Yeah, for
journey,
sure.
that's a long journey to get to where you have been or where you are now, I should say.
I mean, this has been this has been like 15 years, and this is as long as it gets. It will not
Yeah.
get any longer.
It won't get any longer.
I don't
So you're-
shorten it.
You're trying to
just
go
let it go.
Gandalf. You're trying to go Gandalf mode. It won't happen.
Yeah, this is exactly how long my beard hair is, and it will not get any
Wow.
longer. Or it just keeps getting longer, and it just keeps curling up inside there.
Yeah.
And
So
you
you
know,
think
and
it's
if I ever like straighten it out, it'll be
Yeah.
like 50
Yeah.
feet
Well,
long.
I want to encourage you to keep going because 15 years seems like a lot, but Carl has underwear that are 15 years old, so I think you can go further
It's true.
than 15 years. So just
Okay.
food
All right,
for thought.
And if you're wondering how many times is Derek going to bring up the beard, like I got tally marks, so we're at 3 at this point.
Okay,
Nobody
that's awesome.
cares. Yeah, nobody cares.
Okay,
Anyway.
so getting back
Yeah.
to the mesh thing. All right, so for real, so you put out a video about like mesh being a legit base layer, and I've seen people doing this, and yeah, so what? I don't really know where to go with this. Like, why is this a thing?
I mean, so what it seems to be to me is it's the best balance between breathability and warmth. And so when you need the warmth of a base layer, it is really warm. And based on the testing that I did I think it was about 20% warmer is what I showed. The claims are 4 to 6 times warmer, which I don't know how that equates to percentages, but I measured about 20% more warmth than a standard base layer of the same weight.
Okay.
And so it works really well to keep you warm. But then the beauty of it is that once you ventilate, like if you've got like a shell over it and you open up the pit zips or you open up, the zipper on the front, whatever the case is, it lets all that heat out very quickly. And so especially in wintertime when you need to be managing moisture quite a bit, like you're hiking uphill, whatever the case may be, and you're sweating quite a bit. If you start sweating into your base layer, the moment that you stop.
Okay, so you're talking about you're letting out all of the air, all of the heat when you open it up your jacket or whatever, and it's not going to cause sweat, so it's safer in winter environments. But I'm just looking at the practicality of it. Okay, so let's say that you're layering up, you're hiking in the morning, you're getting hot, so now you're taking off a layer and you're down to mesh layer. Derek and I are going the opposite direction. We encounter Steven and he's wearing just a mesh shirt. We are not going to be talking to you. This is like
I'm hugging you, bro.
awkward.
I'm hugging you.
We're just gonna we might not even nod. We're gonna be like,
Well,
that's that
it
guy.
depends. Is it a V-neck mesh or just a straight collar mesh?
Yeah, no, it's crew. It's crew.
Okay.
It's
Well,
crew
yeah,
neck.
we're talking. I'm talking to crew.
I'm not.
V-neck mesh.
I mean,
but
you can see everything, So I made a fake thumbnail where I'm like hiding, the sensitive
Right.
areas and all that kind of stuff. But that one never saw the light of day. And so, so in my mind, it's going to be a really warm day, or you're really working up a really big sweat to want to have just a base layer on. Is my thinking,
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking you're at least going to have a shell over it, and so you're going to have, you might have a little bit right here that you see a little bit in the pit zips, but for the most part, I think I don't know if there's very many people that are just hiking in just a base layer, and
there's somebody.
and even if they are, like base layers are like skin tight, they hug things and stuff like that. So I mean,
I could see you doing that.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
Okay, well,
game recognizes game. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
all
somebody
right,
did comment on that video. They said you just want to show off your muscles, and I was like,
right.
like,
Correct.
what
Right.
muscles?
Correct.
Yeah, what muscles? Whatever, man. All right. Well, I just thought it was like, I know people that have hiked in base layers, and so I mean, it just looked. I just
Like
thought
with
it could
nothing
be-
else, they're just in their base layer.
Yeah, because they're just peeling as they go, and they're continuing on down the trail, and it's basically just like a wool shirt. Like a lot of people wear like a wool shirt as a base layer,
Okay.
or whatever, or I don't know. I just thought it could be socially awkward, but if you're not,
Oh,
gonna
I mean,
put
it probably
around
is.
then Yeah.
He's more insecure than us, Steven, though, in that situation. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't talk to a guy in a mesh shirt. You wouldn't offer Steven water in a crew.
I mean,
mesh
so what do you
shirt.
do like when you go to the beach or something like that? Do you just don't talk to anybody?
He doesn't go to the beach. What are you talking about?
I don't talk.
You go to the beach. You go to a public pool. You go to I don't know, the men's locker room at the gym. He's just like,
Wait.
I'm not talking to those guys. They don't have shirts on.
So just to clarify, you go to a public pool, at the beach, and in the locker room. You're going up to strangers and talking to them. That's the scenario you're putting out there right now.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
that is that
I
awkward
don't
for
talk to
you?
people in the locker room. What? That's weird, man.
Okay, so then the question I have is, why do you have to talk to the guy on the trail then? If you're not talking to people at the beach or the locker room, why are you on the trail being like, I got to talk to that guy?
What's the difference? In one scenario, I'm fully clothed. That person's fully clothed. In the other scenarios, there's a lot less clothes going on.
Yeah, but if you, I don't know. I guess it depends on the person.
Oh yeah, okay. Am I alone on this? Is anybody else going to be like super excited to see Mesh guy walking like coming
think
right
you're
at him on
alone.
the trail?
I don't think you're alone, but if you're secure, then you don't really care. Like I'm not junior high anymore.
Do we? This is our 8th season of me telling you that I'm not secure. That this is my
I know. This is why I'm saying this to Steven.
You already mentioned about the, like the idea of every backpacker should be aware of like survival versus comfort rating and kind of how that works. But a lot of backpackers tend to they'll get gear and they stick with what works. They don't change much about their gear, their skills, and they'll leave it there kind of for years. So from your experience, like what are 2 things old crusty backpackers should really be thinking about or reconsidering this year?
So I mean, like going back to some of the things we've already talked about, like some of the testing that I've done, I think it's just, there's certain things that we think about that we just think that's the way that it is. And it's the way that it is because somebody told me, somebody that I looked up to whenever I was first getting started in backpacking, whatever, they told me that's the way that it is. And so like, I've got a pretty good example. And this is an upcoming video that I'm going to be working on actually. But I was recently hiking in Patagonia, and I was hiking with a group, and there was a guy there that I don't even know how we got on this topic, but he was asking me about my sleeping bag, and he said, "Is it down?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh man." He's like, "You shouldn't have done that. Like that, huge mistake, huge mistake going with down."
That's what you
want
to hear.
That thing, if that thing gets wet, he's like, "You're done. Like you're dead." And I'm like I've been using down for years and never had a problem.
Yeah.
I've even gotten it wet before and have done testing on down for, because they have waterproof, which a lot of the waterproofing for down is PFAS.
Yeah.
They waterproof it with PFAS. But
oh wow, okay.
I had confidence in the down, but this guy had someone told him at some point in his life that the down was no good. And so he's convinced that synthetic is the only way to go. And so,
terrible.
And not because of this guy, because of some other stuff, but I'm going to be doing some testing on down to figure out how susceptible is it really to water? Are we, because I've been told the same thing, like I don't worry about it the way that this guy does, but I've been told like once it gets wet, like you're in a bad spot and you got to protect it, with your life just to make sure that you don't get your down wet. And my question is like, how concerning is that really? And how much water does it realistically take to wet out a down sleeping bag to the point that you're going to be in a survival situation because your bag got wet? I mean, is it like is it gallons and gallons of water, or is it like the condensation that's rubbing off the inside of your tent? And that's the question I want to know. And so that's a future video. But that's the thing is that guy was told that. Somebody else was told something about that you got to wear a regular mesh base layer, or not a regular base layer, not a mesh base layer. Somebody else was told that you got to have an R value, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever the case may be. And from the testing that I'm doing, I'm like, it doesn't necessarily seem to be the case. And so that's the thing I would tell crusty old backpackers is just because you were told it and have believed it forever doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way that it really is.
I would like to sum up what you just said, Steven, to an old crusty backpacker is basically, I mean, you're pointing out like essentially 3 different topics, and your conclusion on all the topics is everything that you think you know about this is wrong. And so basically what you'd be saying to that old crusty backpacker is everything you think you know or that you've been told is incorrect.
I don't know that it's everything, but it could
If I've done a video on it, then you're wrong about whatever you think. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah. If you're making a video title, you got to say it's wrong even if it could be wrong, because you put "could be" in the title, people are going to be like, "Oh, I don't care." But
Yeah.
you say wrong, they want to go in to find out if they agree with you or not.
Yeah.
And
Gotcha.
then, and if they don't agree, they're going to leave a comment, and that's going to boost it
Yeah.
even more. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes
Well,
sense.
That's
Makes sense.
insider info right there.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous for this next part of our show because this is only
What?
Derek's second lightning round, and he was highly confused the first time we did this. But
No, I wasn't. Not at all. What time on?
we're gonna try again.
Steven, if
So-
somebody says to you, we're going to do a lightning round, you can literally ask any question you want, not backpacking related. What are you going to prep? All kinds of fun stuff, right?
He had
Oh, yeah.
trivia
Yeah, for
questions
sure.
that took 30 seconds a pop to ask
Oh, well,
them, and so
we're going to
defeated the
simplify. We'll make
purpose.
them a little bit more true and false-ish. Okay.
Okay.
Seems
These
easy.
don't.
Alright,
These are
alright.
not
50%
necessarily trivia
chance.
questions, though. These are. It can be anything, any question, personal
Can it,
opinion,
though?
whatever. So,
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So
All right.
yeah. 1 minute. Answer as many as you can. I think the record right now for season 8 is 9 correct. So the timer starts once Derek asks his first
Oh,
question.
man. So we're not just
So,
doing
Derek,
how fast,
you
like
are
it's whether or not I get it right too.
Well,
Yeah.
mine aren't correct. Mine's like opinion stuff. So I don't know what Derek's gonna ask.
Oh, all right, good.
Opinion stuff. So he could,
Yeah.
he has to agree with your opinion to get it right, or what? How does he get it
Yes.
right? Okay. There it is. Okay. Am I going first? Here we go.
Yeah.
The first person to use the word nerd was Dr. Seuss or Albert Einstein?
Albert Einstein.
It was Dr. Seuss.
What's your favorite gear company?
Incorrect.
I don't know. I like them all.
Oh, yeah. Horrible question. The New York Stock Exchange used to be a coffee shop or a slave market?
Slave market.
Coffee shop.
What's a conspiracy theory that you kind of believe?
Birds aren't real.
Birds are. George Washington would occasionally wear lipstick or lederhosen.
Lederhosen.
Lipstick.
If you could legally change your first name, what would it be?
Fred.
I didn't hear
Wow.
Derek started talking.
He said he got it right, Fred. According to the U.S. law, if you kidnap somebody and ask for the ransom and they pay that ransom, if I pay that ransom, it is tax deductible. True or false?
True.
It is tax deductible. Correct. Correct.
What is the best M&M flavor?
Chocolate.
Ooh. The term Lego.
Time.
Oh, he's got one more. I didn't get one.
We're already overtime. I already built in 8 more
Oh.
seconds for your nonstop chattering, Derek.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
You want to ask it?
Derek
Let's
still
ask it.
doesn't understand the lightning round.
I'm going
Go
to
ahead,
ask
Derek.
it. We're having fun with it. You know what? My questions are longer, but you made him answer longer. In Tibet, if somebody sticks out their tongue at you, are they showing respect to you or are they proposing marriage?
Marriage.
Respect. They're showing.
There's either or questions, Steve. I don't think you did very well with those.
He got one of them. He got one of them.
Yeah, 1 out of like 5. I think.
Well, after the first two, I started going with whatever seemed more ridiculous, because that's what it seemed like the theme
fair.
was. But then,
That's fair.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is the theme. That's
Yeah.
Derek's life right there. Okay.
That's the theme.
Derek, any takeaways from anything else he said besides the trivia questions?
Any takeaways?
Yeah.
No, I just appreciate all the work that you do that goes unseen, and that the time that you put into probably that we don't even know about. I think that's really cool, because I think you're really providing a service to the backpacking community that is undervalued. So I just want to give you credit for what you're trying to do. I think it's really cool.
That is 100% unrelated to lightning round, but that was very nicely said right there.
Oh, you want lightning round question? Yeah, I got one more. You want one of those? I got
No,
one more.
Okay, forget it.
The name
We're gonna move
Lego
on.
comes from the Danish word meaning play well or pricey bricks.
pricey bricks.
Play well.
Derek's
that did
comprehension
not seem the
skills are
most
getting
ridiculous.
worse each year, so I
I
apologize.
thought you were gonna get that one. That's too bad.
Okay. All right.
No.
Tricky.
Uh,
Steve, what can we look forward to on your channel this year? What's coming up?
Man, I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. A lot of stuff that I'm really excited about, and so I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff where I'm talking about interesting facts and science behind places I'm visiting. Going to be doing a lot of gear testing, where I'm trying to pull data out of different pieces of gear and all that kind of different stuff, answering questions that people probably didn't even know they wanted to know the answers, or that they should be asking those questions. And so I've got video ideas listed out all the way into July. And so I've got a bunch of stuff. Now, whether or not I can actually make them all happen is a different question, but I'm really excited about the stuff that I've got coming up.
You're like Mr. Deep Dive. When podcast people say, we're going to take a deep dive, you actually deep dive.
Correct.
I love it.
Yeah. And so I don't know if we got time to say this, but the reason why I started doing that was because I got tired of just offering my opinion. And so, like I was like, yeah, man, I like this piece of gear, or I don't like this piece of gear. And I was like, and the question that Carl was asking earlier, like, well, who are you? I'm like, well, who am I? And really so I wanted to give something that was a little more than my opinion. And so, I went looking for something, and I didn't want people to be able to argue with me. And so, because they get in the comments and they're like, wow, yeah, you're stupid because whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Actually. Yeah.
So it's about being right. It sounds it. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
It's about being right. Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
That was great.
If you're not on YouTube, or you're on YouTube and you're under a rock, you haven't checked out Stephen Smith's My Life Outdoors. He legit puts out the best videos that will capture your attention. He's a master storyteller. We'll have links in our show description. Stephen, man, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're the best.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So, Carl, what did you think of the deep dive numero uno after all of that information? What was your takeaway?
Yeah, big takeaways. Yeah, I think that his style of just basically questioning traditional like wisdom, or what is traditional backpacking wisdom, and really asking like, is that really correct? Should we really be doing these things that people have been doing for 20, 30 years or beyond? I think to me is very compelling. And so I just like how he does that. And so that's kind of just, I don't know if that's a takeaway. That's just kind of what I appreciate. How about you?
Yeah, I think I said the same thing at the end of the episode of all the hard extra work he does. That like we need people like that, right? We need people that are going to go the extra mile, do the stuff that you really don't want to do, but like once you find out those results, you're like, oh wow, I'm glad that he did that. That's really cool. So, do you feel like you
said you didn't really say that at the end of the episode? I said, what did you have any takeaways from the lightning round? And then you started like thanking him for his contributions to our world.
That was my takeaway. That was my takeaway.
That was socially awkward.
That's why I'm here, is to be socially awkward. So I try to embrace that so people feel not so heavy about it. But I want to know, did you feel like, in the previous shows you've done with him, you said that he felt that you were under par of question. Do you feel like you challenged him enough this episode? Do you feel like you pushed him to the limit?
I mean, we stumped him on a couple, or I stumped him on a couple of the lightning round questions for sure. He kind of rolled with that out the gate question about faking your own death. So that part was good. Yeah. I think the best part though was stumping you, where it was like, I don't know if everybody picked up on this, but when you don't know what you're talking about, you will talk about the around the question.
You're talking about the PFAS?
And then when it gets explained to you, you'd be like, yeah, it's kind of what I said.
So I think the thing that I want to say about that is that even he was kind of like, yeah, what do you, like when you did some other question, he's like, what do you asked it in a very vague, confusing way where it's, you're like, what's PFAS? What is PFAS? Right. Now, you wanted like a scientific definition?
The other strategy that you use is deflecting and then just trying to blame other people for other issues, which is what you're doing right now. So
nobody was blaming.
Two tactics you use both of them in the same episode. Well done.
I will say that I deflect sometimes, but in this one I am not. I'm asking you. Okay. You're just like, what is PFAS? And I'm saying it's
I said, what does PFAS do? Was the question, and he didn't understand the question either. So then it got clarified, and you still weren't able to answer the question.
What do you mean it got clarified? It was saying it's. I'm not going to go into it. He went into more detail because that's what he does, because he's been researching it. But I know that's like horrible.
You just answered the question the way I thought you would answer it, because you sounded like you knew what you're talking about.
I think that you need to work on your question asking is what you need to work on. That's maybe the issue.
Again with the deflection.
It's not a deflection. It's more, it starts at the root, right? It starts at the root. And sometimes you got to pull the roots out, guys. Sometimes you got to pull those weeds out.
Folks, go back and listen to that segment. And if Derek is correct, then I will eat my words.
I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm saying I have some knowledge of what PFAS is. I don't know as nearly as much as he does.
Walmart and Target and
because they sell clothes with PFAS.
But that's not what it does. It's like where they sell it. It's not even close to the
Correct.
right answer.
I'm saying what it does. The argument is like, well, what does it do? It like he said, it's like these
What does it
forever
do?
chemicals.
They sell it at Walmart. That doesn't answer the
It
question.
It can be. I said to you, I said it can be toxic to you. It can like contribute to like health issues, right? If you're ingesting it. They've done many tests on PFAS with water, and they found
You don't need the play-by-play. Go back and listen. You can tell me I'm wrong. It's fine, and I'll eat my words. All right.
I think I know more than you about it, and that's what I'm going to say about it. Okay.
You got trivia.
We got trivia, and it's coming up right after this.
The trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Rowan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Rowan uses rock-solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie-cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure. All right, so trivia is brought to us by Teton. Derek, how often do you hike in the rain? How often have you gotten your gear wet?
Every day. Every day.
What do you
hike
do?
in the rain? I'd say a chunk of trips that we've been on. That there's been some rain, and we've hiked in the rain, and my gear got wet. I'm thinking of Flat Top over in Colorado with you.
Yeah,
it probably got the worst, and I think most everything in my bag got wet because I was not prepared with the shell.
Right.
So it happens. Yeah.
Teton puts a rain cover into their backpacks, sewn in, making it easy to pull out on the trail the moment a drizzle begins. So if you haven't used a pack with a built-in rain cover, which is going to help you with that issue you just described, then check it out at tetongear.com.
Teton Gear. All right. We got trivia.
What you got?
We got some glamping poison trivia. Are you ready? Here we go. 3 questions. Which company, speaking of PFAS, doesn't use forever chemicals in their clothing? Is it Columbia? Is it Costco? Is it REI? Or is it Patagonia? Which one does not use PFAS chemicals?
It's got to be Patagonia, right?
It's Patagonia. You're right.
Yeah,
REI does, though. I was like, what? I didn't know that.
I know.
I didn't realize that.
It's going to be illegal soon, so it doesn't matter. So
Okay, fair enough. All right. Let's see, what is this here? Oh, yeah. Which is glamping and which one of these is camping? Okay. You're going to decide. I will tell you if you're right or wrong.
Sounds good.
Is a shelter with a small tarp and no tent. Is that glamping or camping? And let me just clarify. These are glamping or camping according to what I view you as. what you in your realm for your world of camping and hiking and backpacking. I'm going to consider these either glamping or camping. Here we go.
The objectivity here is amazing. Let's go with camping on that first one.
That one is camping. That's correct.
Okay.
Number 2, a 4-inch air mattress. Is that glamping or camping for you?
That is glamping.
That is glamping. That's correct. A full-sized toothbrush, uncut, glamping or camping for you?
That is camping, and I
That's
bring it
glamping.
every time.
That
I don't
is
want to hear
glamping.
otherwise.
That is
I don't wanna hear
glamping.
otherwise.
Incorrect. That is glamping. As we know, you cut your toothbrush.
Oh my
And
gosh,
number
embarrassing
4, what is this glamping or camping? Is deodorant for you glamping or camping?
Glamping.
Yes, you got 3 out of 4. Nice job, dude. I don't know how you passed
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, 4 out of 4 if you're being objective.
Well, 3 out of 4 if you're being honest. Okay. Number 3. Oh, and see, okay, I had a trivia question here that, and I'm going to say this on air. I texted Rocky today.
Okay.
And I said, Rocky, I need you to answer this question for me. And he's like, oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot right now. And then he just never answered. So that was hours ago. And I just realized I don't have an answer from Rocky. So we might only have 2 trivia questions, but the question was this. It was, who does Rocky think is closest to glamping? Is it Tupperware Mike? Is it Carl? Is it me? Or is it Rocky himself? I think I have the answer. Let me think of who I think it is, and we'll just go with that. I'm going to choose the
Your
answer.
question is, what does he think? He would probably say Tupperware Mike, but what's the actual answer is probably Rocky.
I was going to say Tupperware Mike, but it could be Tupperware Mike or Rocky.
Yeah.
But I think if you're talking just the weight of the backpack with items that are luxurious that you're going to use, I'm going to go Tupperware Mike, because Rocky will bring a heavy backpack with items that are just completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that's glamping, right? But I would say that that's ridiculous.
Well, but he's brought like car camping tents versus backpacking tents. And he's brought.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh, that huge. Yeah.
I don't know if that question was applicable or helpful for people to play along with at home.
It was
Tupperware
more.
Mike just brings Tupperware, so there's that.
I don't need you to judge my question. I needed Rocky to give me an answer, which I got none. So I just had to improv on the spot, and that's what we did. Tupperware Mike is the answer. I'm gonna give it to you though. Okay, very good. So 2 out of 3.
Right, well, I got.
Dish.
Okay. Well, thank you. Tidbits. Couple.
Tidbits.
We got here.
Oh boy.
We got a documentary out. We got a Backpacking Blizzards documentary. It came out, I want to say like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and it is getting some, like, a lot of good feedback. So we'll have that in our show description. Please check it out. We don't put out documentaries very often, but Derek even made a cameo in this one, and it wasn't about him. So yeah.
Cameo.
Why are you laughing?
Yeah, it's great.
Did you even watch any part of it?
I did
Like,
watch
even,
some
like-
of it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, did you turn it off right after the scene with you?
That's all I needed to watch. I just went to that, scanned
That's
it,
fair.
and found it, and then turned it off.
Yeah, that's what most people do. All right.
Yeah, it's good.
We put out not too long ago our Patreon trips, our backpacking trips, and I just want to quickly share about them. And Derek, I want to ask you which ones you're thinking about going on. So we put one out for the Superstition Mountains, no interest. I changed it to the Grand Canyon, strangely, very little interest. So I changed it to a non-Patreon trip to Catalina Island. Are you going on that one?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and go on Catalina. I've always wanted to hike Catalina, and so I'm stoked that you thought of that. And let's do it. April.
People that showed interest in the Grand Canyon trip, I just invited them on that trip because there weren't very many. I was surprised. I thought Grand Canyon would be a hit, but it wasn't.
Apparently, Grand Canyon is the most dangerous national park in the world, death-wise. Did you know that? I just looked it up the other day.
That would have been a good trivia question. So
I would have, but that was for a different week. So it's fine.
All right. Well, we'll come back next. We got a national parks episode coming up. So
yeah.
All right. We've got, and then there's the Timberline Trail around Mount Hood in August. That one we haven't done signups for yet. Are you any interest in that one?
For me, no, I can't do Mount Hood.
Like, it's too hard for you?
It's too hard for me. No, it's not too hard. I think it's timing wise. I can't do that one.
Okay.
That's in July, right?
That's at the end of August, like I just said.
Oh, end of August. Yeah, that's no bueno for me.
So
Actually,
it's in September. How about now? Can you do it now?
No. September's my
October.
birthday. Every single month.
Your birthday month.
Birthday month.
I'm changing. You're like, I can't do it. I'm not available in July. Oh wait, it's not in July. Yeah, I'm not available. September.
Yeah, I'm busy the rest of the year. Actually, no.
Welcome to my world, folks. This is how it goes when I invite people on backpacking trips.
Carl will beg people to go on trips with you.
I'll find a reason.
Because it's, you know what, he begs you to go on trips until it's uncomfortable. And then you're like, I don't want it. He's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's uncomfortable. And you're like, I can't, and I don't want to.
All right. How about Mount Hood? We're doing the same weekend instead of Catalina.
Mount Hood the same weekend we're doing Catalina. We're going to Catalina in April.
I'm canceling Catalina. We're going to Mount Hood instead. How about now?
You're embarrassing yourself right now.
Okay, sorry. Our last trip is a big one. Our big epic trip this year is in July, and this is actually, this is something that, we invited the Patreon folks on. We got a few Patreon folks going. There's still some spots. It is the Collegiate Loop, or sometimes called the Collegiate Peaks Loop. It connects the Colorado Trail to the Continental Divide Trail. It's a 160-mile loop. Derek, are you going on that one?
Monster. Actually, I thought about it, and then I told you no, because I am actually, this is a true story, whether you believe it or not. My mom, 72, got her passport for the first time ever, and she wants me to take her on a trip. So I'm planning a little trip with moms. I don't know when we're going yet, but yeah.
Dude, that's cool.
So,
all right, that's super cool.
I'm excited. It should be fun.
All right.
Everybody should go on a trip once in their life. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want more information, you can check it out on Patreon. When our first episode back, we were doing like the worst backpacking hacks, and Eric R. from New Hampshire said, fun to hear Derek on the pod again. I can attest to seeing Derek's first 2 hacks on the tubes, because remember I was like challenging whether or not you made those up. So he's got your back. He says, I have no skin in the game, but definitely like the trivia ideas that we put out. Those were my ideas about like, you know, if you get 2 questions or all 3 questions right, it takes away a loss, that kind of thing. So anyway,
right.
Yeah. So he was trying to say a positive thing for both of us, but the big takeaway was he believes that you were telling the truth. So
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was.
Okay.
You want to look at me in the eye? I'll tell. I was.
I still only half believe you.
That's your insecurity to deal with and your cross to bear.
Probably.
I appreciate his kind words, though. It is good to be back and joking around and keeping Carl in line. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'll continue to do so.
My friend, that's all I got.
That is all I've got, guys. Thanks again for hanging out with us and Steven. We will see you next time, guys. And remember, if you have some PFAS on you, it's probably not harmful. Just give it to Carl. He'll drink it right up for you. See you next time.
We'll do.